everybody. James with Love My Pets, My Breeder Supply. Okay, so now we are the 10th part of a 12-part series, weaning puppies. So what we're talking about here is at what point can you take mum and puppies and separate them, and you're going to do that for a number of reasons. One is because they're going to new homes, and so they've got to be acclimated to that new environment without having their siblings and their mum around. It might be that mum is really lost a lot of weight and her health, you're a little bit concerned about it, you want to get her back to a reasonable weight, and so you're going to take the burden of her looking after puppies off her. It may be because she just flat had enough of it and she's not wanting to be around her babies and not being particularly nice to them. And it might be because you had a mum that maybe has had very poor milk, and you need to get them over onto something other than mum's milk, and getting away from you having to be the mother and doing all the bottle feeding and tube feeding and making your life pretty difficult. Okay, so at what point are we going to be weaning puppies? Well, puppies can't fend for themselves until they've got teeth, as far as eating mushy food and semi-hard food. So we've got to wait till the teeth have started to show up. So what's the process? Well, typically about 10 days old, their eyes are opening up. And then by about 3 weeks is the point where you'll start to feel some teeth coming through. And 3 to 4 weeks is the point that you can start to get puppies onto some soft mousse. So what we put them on is, food-wise, we go to Royal Canine Puppy Mousse. And how do they spell mousse? I think it's like that. Comes in a can. It looks like cat food. It's not cheap, but there's no lumps in it. You can take a look, when you first feed it, what we do is we take a little bit of goat's milk and make a kind of a slightly warm slurry out of it. And then we'll put that into, you put it into a big pie dish, an 8-inch or 10-inch pie dish. And but the problem with that is the puppies tend to get in it. So a better thing to have is one of these bundt cans. It's kind of like a bundt cake. It's a cross section of it looks like this. So there's a middle part of the bowl, and that stops the puppies from getting in there and walking all the way across it, and the food sits in here. So this is basically a round dish with a central kind of mountain coming out of it. That works really well. You can buy those specifically for feeding puppies, and that's probably the best thing to use. But look, this is, you can use whatever you want. It's just more convenient, because if you'd use just a straight pie dish for a plate, the puppies will get in it and they'll get all messy, and it's not the best way. Okay, so this is what we transition to, is the Royal Canine Puppy Mousse. Is that the only product out there? Of course not. There's plenty of other products out there. But what you want is you want something that is the consistency of almost yogurt. Something that is very easy for them to, they don't have to have much crunching around, because their teeth at this point aren't very big or strong. And you can get puppies on that just when they start to show some nubs. If you're in a situation where you've got puppies that are, they're a bit skinny, mum's milk's not so good, get them onto some puppy mousse as soon as you can. You will, when you do this transition, by the way, the poop will change, and mum probably is not going to do much on the cleaning up front. At that point, you're going to be the cleaning up. So then what do? Well, we put them into a 4x4 foot by 4 foot raised playpen with a 1/2-inch grid. You can buy those in 3x3s and 4x4s. Chewy's got them, Amazon's got them. But basically what it is it's a decent sized pen that has a floor that's raised up about 1 foot, and below that there are 2 slide-out trays. So the idea behind this is the puppies poop on the crate, it falls through the crate and down to below, and they're not wallowing around in their own poop. If you don't do this, the problem you're going to have is the puppies, you want to teach the puppies, number one, to try to poop in one particular area, and number two is you don't want them to be continually in contact with their own feces. Chanel, our daughter, she used some pine chips in a cat litter box, and that worked fairly well. That's one thing that people do. The playpen idea works good too. If you can do the playpen, or whatever you do, try to give them one area where you're going to try to encourage them to go poop on. if you're in the raised 4x4, what we do is we put some newspaper down and maybe a bed they can all sleep in, and in one area it's got nothing on it, with the idea that maybe they'll get the habit of going over to that area there, so that you can do what we call crate training and starting of it. All right. Okay. Let's just quickly talk on medicines while we're here in this weaning stage. They should have been getting shots, and they need them every 2 weeks. And if they're 2 and 4 week shots, we do with Nemex 2 or parental Pyomate. And at 6 weeks and beyond and up, then we use Safeguard. This is a single dosage. This is 3 days in a row. You can Google the amount, but you want to make sure you're doing that. So then, while we're talking about this, other things that you can have problems with, we talked about these other places: Giardia and Coccidia. Not uncommon situations to have both or either of those parasites present. There's tests you can do for Giardia, you can do a flotation test for Coccidia. But keep on top of your medications. We've already talked about all this, so we're not going to go into that in any great detail. All right, let me see what I put on my notes here about what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so the next thing is, how much time does mum need with the babies before you take mum away completely? Well, the first thing is you've got anxiety of the puppies. The puppies are used to having mum around. And the second thing is, mum's milk production needs to slow up and dry up. You don't want mum to be just engorged and full of milk, because then you're asking to get mastitis. So what we do is this. We start by taking mum away in the daytime. When we get up and they get the puppies, the mum comes out of the cage, mum goes outside to go pee and poop. She's not back in the pet cage. The puppies now get their lunch. They get their breakfast rather. They get their breakfast and mum's not with them. And then maybe we'll start off by putting mum back with them in the afternoon. Then we're going to transition to where in a few days mum's only with them at night time. And then we're going to do that for 2 or 3 days, and then after that mum's not with them at all. So over a period of about a week, we can get from mum being with them 24/7 to mum not being with them at all, and just see how that goes. Now, when should you start doing this? Again, this really depends on your mum. We've got some mums will leave with babies really up till almost the point where they're leaving. They might be with them till they're 8 weeks old. We've got other mums where they're just too skinny, getting too small, don't like the way they're looking, and I want to get some weight on these puppies and get mum off having to milk them. And then we'll start doing that typically around 4 weeks. So something between 4 and 8 weeks, this process is going to start and finish. Okay. So so the next thing is, as people ask me about what do we do as far as training puppies are concerned. Well, you can do some crate training. So crate training, what we do is if you want to crate train an individual puppy, what you do is you put it into a pretty small crate, something where it's not comfortable with peeing and pooping in that crate because it's going to be in there with it. And what you do is you take the puppy out every few hours outside and encourage the puppy to go use the bathroom outside. And when it does so, give it a treat, make a huge fuss of it. But when it goes outside, if it's been in the crate, it goes outside, and the first thing you do before you start playing is get that puppy to poop. Keep that puppy in the same place that it always has been in the past to go poop, because that'll encourage it to, it'll smell the poop and encourage it to go alleviate itself in that area. And then no playtime until the puppy poops. When the puppy poops, it's a big treat and it's playtime. Playtime, then back in the crate, and we'll keep reiterating that reinforcement. So we're going to call that crate training, so that's something else you're going to be working on. And look, if you've got lots of puppies, to go crate train all these puppies individually, it's not happening. I mean, it's not happening for us. So in those situations, they are in a big crate, and the whole idea behind this is they go outside, if it's nice weather, they go outside to go play, and when they go out to play, then typically they'll poop outside, and hopefully you'll have enough time between, you get the puppies to go out to play 3 times a day, morning, midday, afternoon, and maybe even feed them outside. So what we use for that is a large free-form playpen that's got about 3 foot high walls on it, and it all links together, and you can buy them as panels. They're not very expensive, and we go put that out on the concrete, and we put a bowl of water out there, and we put the food out there, and we let everybody in there to go eat food, and when they finish that, we open everything up, let the puppies go out and play under our supervision. So we live out in the country, we do have large owls, we've got hawks, and we've got animals, we've got coyotes, we've got animals that could snatch a puppy up. So we're just absolutely not going to do any of this without our attention. We're not leaving puppies outside when they're small, unattended at all. And when they go outside the playpen area, they are absolutely under our supervision because puppies can get in trouble. We've got ponds out here, we've got snakes out here. We never had a problem with this, but we really stay on top of this. Okay. I think we kind of covered everything pretty well here. I think that's probably it. So important things are, make sure you stay on top of your meds. Use a quality food to start them out. By the way, what we have done in the past is taken their puppy food, the kibble, and soak that into, well, actually we do this nowadays. After we started with the moose, they've had a few days of that, maybe 4 or 5 days of moose, we'll transition them over to kibble. And what we use is Life's Abundance puppy food, and we mix that with some either warm water or some warm goat's milk. Let it set up for maybe 30 minutes so it gets all mushy. Take a fork and smush it all up so there's not very large pieces in it. And you can get them onto fairly quickly off the moose onto a kibble and eventually onto a dry kibble by the time they're at 8 weeks. And then when you send your puppies home with their new places to go, make sure you give them some food so they can do a transition to whatever food they're going to give over a period of about a week, not the day the puppy arrives. I think, I bet I've forgotten other things, but I think that'll work for now. Thanks, bye. Hey, thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate people who subscribe to me. It helps me, encourage me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Bye.